Okay, so I'm a retail player, and over the past few weeks, I've been playing through WoW Classic for the first time, and well, it sure has been a lot of fun. I started playing from the minute WoW Classic Fresh launched on the 21st of November. Starting out as someone who has never touched the game before was somewhat intimidating, because everyone around me moved around like they had done it before, and they most definitely have. And to be honest, it was that feeling that drove me away from Classic in the past, and I really wasn't expecting it to make it past level 10, but little did I know the adventure I was going to go on over the next few weeks. In my mind, I had already experienced everything that Azeroth had to offer from playing retail, and it wouldn't be until I did my first dungeon in Classic that I realized that this is an entirely new journey inside of the world that I already loved. So many places that I hadn't explored because I had just flown right over top of them. In Classic, you really get this sense of community, right from finding people to run a dungeon with, to members of my guild helping me complete quests, to even you guys giving me gifts in-game. I think that now that we are reaching the halfway point in my journey to level 60, it's safe to say that Classic has grown on me. And well, I can only hope that the rest of my time here is just as enjoyable. In case you haven't watched any of my previous videos, then I would like to introduce you to my character, Fartin Sniff. Last time we ran Scarlet Monastery a lot, and well, we managed to get ourselves some pretty nice gear upgrades, and we also got to level 42, which would mark the halfway point to level 60, although some people told me that that information was incorrect, and it was actually level 44, but whatever. The goal for today, well, I want to try and get my first ever piece of pre-bis gear, the Blackstone Ring, an absolutely insane piece of gear obtained from the final boss of Maraudon. But everyone else also wants this piece of gear, and the drop chance is pretty low, so I'm not too sure if I'm going to be able to get it today. So in order for me to run Maraudon, I would want to wait until I was around level 48. Now at the start of the day, I was only level 44. While I was so close to 45, we might as well say I was level 45. So I decided to run some Zul'Farrak, a dungeon I was familiar with, and I had already picked up all of the quests that I would need, including a very important quest that would reward me with a very useful trinket that simply makes my mount speed 3 times faster, which doesn't sound like much, but 3% is 3%. So I found a group and we got stuck straight into it. You know, ever since I got a hold of the weapon Ravager, it's like my entire playstyle shifted. Usually I'm very impatient with clicking buttons, even when the game has told me 45 times already that I don't have enough rage. But now I'm watching, eagerly waiting for my character to start spinning like my cousin that one time at the local post office. Okay, enough of that. After around 5 minutes of spinning and clearing off the trash mobs, we do eventually make it to the first boss, Theka the Martyr, who doesn't drop any loot except for one of my much needed quest items. Next, we clear a few trash mobs and head around the corner to kill Antu's Soul, who drops the hand of Antu's Soul. And this really isn't a bad weapon. It has a decent ability, which is literally just Thunderclap on a stick, but I didn't win it. Next, we head into the graveyard area, which is a pretty cool part. You've got to open up loads of these graves and a few mobs will pop out, and there are so many of them, which is fine because it awards a good chunk of XP. After killing all of the graveyard mobs, we take on the boss itself, which is Witch Doctor Zul'Farrak, and he did drop a pair of gloves, but they're cloth, so not for me. We then move on to the scenario on the stairs where you get swarmed by like 100 mobs, and I thought we might actually have some bother with this, but we were actually perfectly fine. Then on to the last boss of the dungeon. Now the thing about this dungeon is that there aren't too many pieces of gear that I really care about. However, from this boss we do get the chance to get the big bad pauldrons, which would be a pretty big upgrade for me. Now, you might be thinking, oh, what about Gazrilla? Well, none of us had the mallet to spawn him, but I still wanted to get it done for the quest so that I can get my carrot on a stick trinket. So, after leaving the instance, I went straight back to looking for another group to run the dungeon with. Okay, so I may have forgotten to hit record before starting the dungeon, but really it was all you could expect. We cleared Witch Doctor, and then killed the stair people, and then took down the last boss, and once again, no big bad pauldrons. This time, however, we did have someone in the group with the mallet to spawn Gazrilla. So we cleared up to him and used the mallet to spawn him in, and well, yeah, the first attempt didn't quite go to plan, but don't fret, for we respawned and tried again. Only this time we were actually successful.
Have a good one. Alrighty then. You have...
Okay, so we had just turned in all of my quests and claimed my carrot on a stick trinket, which was actually my first ever WoW Classic trinket. Yay. Now, of course, I went back to Zul'Farrak to run it again for more XP, when I came across an interesting group of players. We were 3 warrior DPS and 2 paladin healers. Now, the catch with this is that all 3 of us warriors were wielding the weapon Ravager, and at first I had no idea what we were doing, but turns out we were doing some kind of XP farm, where we would clear all the way up to the graveyard area and then pop like a third of the graves at once and hope and pray that our Ravagers procced. And each run was taking around 11 to 14 minutes a run, so I decided to stick around for a while and grind this XP out. Okay, so I tried my best to make 10 runs of this interesting to watch, but I was defeated. But we ended up doing this for a good hour and a half, and I gained quite a lot of XP. I then got a message from my friend Lev, who offered to take me into Maraudon and boost me to level 48 for free. And I mean, come on, it's free, don't judge me. Okay, so me and the other losers that Lev was boosting were stood in a safe spot at the start of the dungeon, and Lev streamed to me through Discord so that I could see how it's done.
And now for the hard part.
It's about dick, it's about penis. Men are from Mars, but I'm from Venus. Put it in the butt, spick him in the shower, and take what's ours.
I felt. Oh my god, bro.
So once he actually succeeded in completing the run, me and the other boosted losers fight over the loot. Now, me being a skinner, you best believe I stood there for 5 minutes straight, skinning every single mob in existence. And of course, we did it again.
I want to drain the main vein, prostate massage so insane until you scream, I'm so motherfucking gay. Women gonna fuck though.
And then a third time.
Masturbation, ejaculation, slinging lots of semen to the masses. Face to face and now we fornicating, pussy only when I'm busting asses.
And on the 4th time, I actually hit level 48, which means that I can now go and do my own Maraudon runs and try to obtain the Blackstone Ring. However, I stayed for another run because I was just milking it at that point.
Meat on you so thick indeed, when I'm pumping hard, you're gonna scream, mama, don't.
Okay, enough of the getting boosted. Now, one thing I actually much prefer in Classic is that the stack sizes aren't in the thousands. There's something so satisfying about seeing 10 stacks of the same item in your bag. I mean, sure, it takes up a bit more space, but that's a price I'm willing to pay. So for my first Maraudon run, I decided to do a full quest run. So I grabbed every quest possible and patiently waited inside the dungeon for my group to arrive. I was actually somewhat surprised at first, because in retail, Maraudon is split into 3 separate dungeons, and I never realized that Maraudon was actually one massive dungeon. First on the list of bosses is of course Noxian, who is a boss who does actually have a mechanic, where he splits himself into 3 smaller elementals. Pretty cool. And of course he did drop his little crappy trinket as expected. Secondly, we move on to doing Razorlash, who really is just a massive living plant, and he dropped a pair of crappy boots. Now in retail, that is where the dungeon would end. Just Noxian, then Razorlash. But we then go through a pathway that I didn't even know existed until now, and it opens up into these areas that I've never seen before. We then move on to killing Vile Tongue and his shadow boys, who drop a little waste piece. We then move into the big open area with the big waterfall, and you know, when you actually take a second to observe the world around you, you start to notice just how amazing certain parts of the game really are. And this room here is so cool looking, I just love it. After clearing up more trash mobs, we once again head down a path that I didn't know existed, to kill a boss that I didn't know existed, who dropped a shield that I didn't need on for some reason, even though that would have come in handy. We actually ended up skipping Landslide on this run, but honestly, I'm okay with that because there's nothing from him that I really care about. And then it was time to kill Princess and get my Blackstone Ring. One and done. Princess was actually a lot harder than I originally thought it would be, because she fears everyone and then lets out a few fart clouds that do insane AoE damage. But, to no one's surprise, I didn't get the ring on the first try. Let's go, dude. Let's freaking go. After I turned in all of the quests that I had, I headed back to obviously run it again, because I was determined that I wouldn't leave this dungeon until I got the ring, even if it took me 50 attempts. Second one, we didn't get it, although a nice pair of legs dropped, which I didn't get. Now, on the third time around, this happened. Oh! Fucking please! Okay. Okay. Please. Come on, baby. Come on. Just give it to me, 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 give it to me. Give it to me. Just give it to me, give it to me. Let's fucking go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, let's go. That's our first bit of pre-bis right there. Oh my god. Link it to the guild. Let's go, bro. Now yes, I got the ring, but I decided to go for another just for the XP and to see if I could get the legs as well, when unexpectedly we got a very rare drop. One that I know Lev has been farming for the past few days. Sadly though, it seemed that no one in the group actually needed it, so I imagine it went straight to a vendor. But I was still happy that I got my ring. Hope you all enjoyed today's video because I enjoyed making it, I always do. One favour that I would like to ask from you guys is go into the comments and give me any feedback possible, literally anything. Because I am still somewhat new to creating videos and I do try to improve on at least one thing every single video. You might not notice it, but I definitely do. The other thing is I do have access to the membership program where you can become a member of the channel for things like exclusive content, early access to content, things like that. If that is something you guys are interested in, let me know. I've got a couple of ideas for it. I've got a couple of videos made exclusively for the members program. I thought I've also got deleted videos and unreleased videos that you could potentially get access to, or you could get access to like the raw footage that I use in the videos, stuff like that. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. Anyway, enough yapping. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all later.